Once a month, Paula Pant, host of the Afford Anything podcast, answers voicemail questions the listeners send in. Here's one now.
Hi, Paula. Thanks for all the great work you do. I'm really enjoying your podcast and can't wait for your course to come out. As I've been learning about real estate investing, I've come across a couple of real estate investing clubs or memberships where the organization pulls together nationwide services like contractors and property management companies, and they provide those services either free to the user, or the investor, and then the service provides a kickback to the organization owner. So it appears to be free for people to use, but it also feels a little too good to be true because they provide a lot of insights and various different, tours where you can go and see new neighborhoods and buy in these neighborhoods and see things on site. It just feels a little bit too good to be true, but maybe I'm being too skeptical. I'm wondering if you can provide any insights on experiences you may have had with these organizations and whether or not you would recommend them or anything to look for in terms of red flags when evaluating a membership like this. Thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Interesting question. So here's the thing. As you mentioned, many of these organizations get commissions from businesses that they refer clients to, businesses that they refer business to. And what that means is that they're not necessarily issuing the reference because they believe that they provide the best service for investors. They're issuing the reference because they have a stake in the game. Now, what does that mean for you? It could go either way. It could be that the companies that they're referring you to, the contractors and, those businesses and those workers, it could be that they're great and that they work with a lot of investors and they, do their job well. Or it might not be. Frankly, I don't really see the difference between using some company or contractor whom they recommend versus one that you find on Angie's List or one that you find just generally from contacting a bunch of other investors in your community and inviting them out for coffee and then asking them who they use. Regardless of which way you're going, if you're using Angie's List or word of mouth or reading Yelp reviews or getting those recommendations from clubs and organizations, regardless of what methodology you use to choose whom your third-party vendors and contractors are, it's still ultimately up to you to do your due diligence, to get multiple quotes, to see how well they seem to understand the scope of work, to suss out whether or not the recommendations that they're giving you are the type of recommendations that would be suitable for a buy and hold investor, as opposed to, the recommendations that a contractor would give to a primary homeowner, an owner-occupant. I guess fundamentally what I'm saying is that it's up to you to have judgment about the situation. And so I'm not sure what you're really getting by joining a real estate investing club. Sure, you get some networking opportunities, right? You get to meet with other investors, wholesalers, with just lots and lots of people who are in the industry, some of whom are smart and knowledgeable and wise, some of whom are like in any industry, you get all kinds. Real estate is no different. So you'll get to network. You'll be exposed to all kinds of people. Some will be great. Some will be neutral. Some will be red flags, big walking red flags. And that's what you're getting. You're getting that networking. You're getting that exposure. Personally, just if you'd like to know more about me, so my experience of it, there was a group in Atlanta, Georgia called Georgia RIA, the Real Estate Investors Association, REIA. I went to a few of their meetups, and honestly, in my personal experience, and I'm not saying that this is true of all RIA groups, but the meetups that I went to were just sales pitches. They just had some guru come and pitch a seminar, basically, was really what happened. And I remember after going to a few of those thinking, wow, why am I wasting an entire evening of my life just sitting through a sales pitch? This is not what I want to be doing. So I stopped going to their meetings, but the one amazing thing that I did get from that is that I learned about many of the subgroups that formed, one of which was a subgroup of investors who specialized in a particular section of Atlanta. And what these investors would do is most of them were flippers, most of them were not buy and hold rental owners. But what they would do is they would purchase a house that was almost always a fixer-upper, and the whole group would get to tour that house beforehand, so that we would all go and we'd see the before. And then that person, who is typically a flipper, would renovate the property and then invite us all back, and we would tour the house and we would see the after. And that was absolutely invaluable because I was learning a lot about how to renovate a property at that time, and getting to see those real life before and after examples, as well as meet the people who were doing that was fantastic. So I guess the point of me telling you that story is that the benefit that I got from going to those organizations, going to a real estate investor club, wasn't the organized meeting itself. It was a almost informal, not exactly informal, but it was a breakout subgroup that came from that where I found the biggest benefit for me. And I guess the broader point that I'm trying to make is that give it a try. Like if if there's an organization out there that you think you might want to join, and this is true regardless of whether we're talking about real estate or any other industry, if there's a group that you think you might want to join, or a conference that you might want to go to, or a class that you might want to take, or whatever, give it a try. And if you like it, then stick with it. And if not, then drop out. Ask for a refund, or move away stick with it if it works for you and don't if it doesn't. But just remember 2 things. Number 1, fire fast. In other words, if it's not working for you, don't waste too much time on it. If you go there and you give it a try and it's just not jiving, move on. And number 2, use your judgment, because there are a lot of people who will say a lot of things, and it's up to you to decide whether or not what you're hearing is actually going to push you in the direction that you want to go in. And, that's true of this podcast as well. Don't listen to something just because I said it. Use your judgment.
Hey, did you enjoy this excerpt from the Afford Anything podcast? Then be sure to subscribe to Paula's YouTube channel. Not only is every podcast episode and Ask Paula question released here on YouTube, other creative deep thought videos are created just for you. Remember, you can watch anything, just not everything. Fill your YouTube viewing time with more videos to make you think and grow, so you can afford anything. Go ahead, hit that little red subscribe button. We'll take care of the rest.